Hey, Cheeky Breaky here, coming to you with a video on how to increase your frames per second in Insurgency Sandstorm. First thing we're going to do before we change any settings is we're going to get a program that's going to be able to monitor any adjustments you make so you can see if it's actually helping or hurting your frames, because that's the whole goal of this. So what we're going to do is go download MSI AfterBurner and Riva Tuner Statistics. Once it's downloaded and installed, you're going to go make sure it starts on the startup every time, and then you're going to go to the settings cog and you're going to go to on-screen display. Make sure you have a toggle on-screen display, whatever you want that to be. I have mine as numpad minus, so that'll toggle it on and off on the screen in game. Then you're going to go to monitoring. You want to make sure the check is checked, and then the ones that are going to be actually in the display are going to say NOSD, in on-screen display, and there's a little checkbox right here that'll activate or deactivate them. So I got GPU temp, GPU usage, CPU temp, CPU usage, and then I have RAM and frame rate. And so those are the ones that I have on mine. You can do what you want. There's a lot more options. And then the other thing we're going to do before we actually change any of the settings is we're going to go to this PC and we're going to go to users, whatever user you have. And I'll just copy paste the link in the description. It's going to look like, let me grab it real quick. It's going to look like this. Okay, so it's going to be whatever your username is right here. Mine is Cheeky. The user's Cheeky, or your username right there. App data local insurgency saved config Windows client. So here, look, I'll delete half of it just to show you guys. Local insurgency saved config Windows client. And then later when we mess with the ini file, it's going to be in the same place. The ini file is right here in engine, and so that's how mine looks. But I'm going to give you a whole ini file that you guys can use and test different things with. But what we're going to delete right now is user settings. So if you guys had the game in the alpha or you had the game in the beta, some of the old settings were still saved, and so this might actually fix a lot of your stutters or FPS issues right away, because it's going to reset them. So once you take this and delete it, it will reset your settings for your game. And then so I just deleted mine. As soon as I start the game up, it'll put the file back in here, and you can do the same thing with any of these. And now that we have the folder or the game settings deleted, we're gonna go in game and go ahead and change some game settings. Okay, first thing you're gonna notice is MSI AfterBurner overlay up in the top left corner. You can toggle it on and off. You're also probably gonna hear my fans from my PC starting to spin up through my mic while we're recording. So let's go to the settings. We're gonna go to game, unchecked a few of these, change some of the colors, binds, we changed a few of the binds, sensitivity, audio. We checked these three boxes. This is sound and backgrounds when you're alt tabbed. Radio beeps, nice to have an option to turn those off. Video, make sure you guys are in full screen. Make sure you have the right resolution. Vertical sync should not be on. Also, you could always lower your resolution if you want way more frames. Vertical sync should not be on. It creates input lag. Gamma, I'm pretty sure this is bugged. It'll go back to 2.2 once I restart the game. A lot of competitive players, they play with a low FOV because it improves your frames and it lets you see down sight a little bit better when you're using irons or one time. Presets, nope. I use temporal anti-aliasing with the INI file tweak. I'll go over that later, but basically the tweak gets rid of the smearing and the ghosting that TAA introduces, and it looks pretty nice and doesn't impact frames too much. But I would recommend, if you don't mind the jaggies, to just go with off or FXAA. Texture quality very high, effects low, foliage very high, shadow quality low, make sure that's low. Post-processing quality, need to do some more testing on that, but I have it on low for now. If any of you guys want to educate me on that, go ahead and put it in the comments. Frame rate smoothing, nope. Frame limiter, okay. Frame limiter, if you guys are getting stutters or hiccups or whatever you want to call them, limit your frames. Try different frame limits and see if you're still getting the stutters. I have it on 60 right now because they don't have an option to cap the menu frames. If I turn it off, which I normally have it as, I get like 300, 400 frames in the menu, and it's not really necessary. So just for this video, we're gonna have it on 60. Normally I have them off. If you have stutters, find a good frame rate that you can cap it at. Motion blur off. Scope setting. Picture in picture is fucking cool looking, but normal gets you better FPS. Dismemberment, also fucking cool looking. Ragdoll count, that's like the dead bodies on the ground, that's low. Foliage, super, ambient, anisotrophic filtering, I think I said that right. All of those are off. Tessellation's on. Screen space reflections is off. Dynamic shadow resolution. This is system specific, so you guys are gonna have to do some testing on your own to figure out what works for you. I am pretty set on the 1024. Texture streaming pool, that's based on your VRAM, so you're going to want to look up your GPU specifications and then adjust this accordingly. I wish they had a medium option, but they don't. Keep loaded textures off, and now we'll go on to the INI. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. PC, local disk, users, cheeky, updated local, insurgency, saved, config, Windows client. And then to get to the INI file for the engine, you go to engine. And what's already going to be here is this, and probably the unfocused volume multiplier. And the things that I add in are enable mouse smoothing and view acceleration. Make sure those are false. Another thing you could do is go to mouse settings and make sure you go down to mouse and then additional mouse options, and make sure that enhance pointer precision is unchecked, because I think by default that this is checked. You might want to check that. Make sure, I mean, it's kind of like a stupid thing, but a lot of people might not know, so I'll just throw that in there. Doesn't help with frames, just saying, with your aiming it might help. And then, so I put these in there. I don't think they actually do anything because the developers have stated that they already turned these off in the engine options, but it doesn't hurt to have them in there. So I put those in there. So when I talked about TAA, the anti-aliasing, this is what you're going to copy paste into the engine file. And this will fix the smearing of TAA. So all you do is put this in there, you go file, save, and then go in game and turn on TAA in the video settings, and you should be good to go. There's a whole lot of other stuff that you can put in here, which is all this. I just copy pasted it. I'll post that somewhere too. It's on the Steam guide, but there's a lot of stuff you can put in here to lower the graphics and hopefully help you with stuttering or frames, improve frames. Besides that, I mean, pretty much if it doesn't look good enough, you can just delete it. I'm gonna copy paste this real quick, but you could just delete, and it's in the recycle bin or whatever, and you restart the game and it'll put a fresh one on there for you, just like my game user settings. Okay. Besides that, it's pretty much it. I would go check your NVidia settings. Oh yeah, of course. Okay. Another thing you could do, NVIDIA control panel, and I'm sure it's the same idea for AMD control panel. So in the NVIDIA control panel, I'm going to go manage 3D settings. I'm going to go, if you go to program settings, you can actually pick the program right here. And I'm just using global settings because I just set this for everything. The things I changed, I mean, I don't really have to go over everything. I'm just going to scroll through it slowly so you guys can look at what I have for mine. This might be different for everyone's GPUs, kind of like hardware specific things. Some things that work for me might not work for you, so you might want to kind of do one change at a time for these. But pretty much you're just going to prefer maximum performance on whichever options allow it, and have your maximum pre-rendered frames at 1, and make sure your refresh rate is the highest available. For your monitor, okay, the other thing you're going to want to do is make sure your drivers are updated. So I'll just use GeForce Experience, and if you go to drivers at the top, it'll tell you, hey, game ready driver, like just got released yesterday. Go ahead and upgrade, update it. So that could help. Make sure your drivers are updated. Besides that, I mean, basically it. If you have any questions, post it in the comments. If not, have a good day. Good luck with getting frames. Peace.